Hi, and welcome to the 3 a.m. Physician. Today's discussion is to answer the question: what has research shown to be the best diet, and what is the worst diet for an infection with SARS-CoV-2? Why discuss this question? Didn't the vax solve the pandemic? Well, I think by now it's becoming clear to most that SARS-CoV-2 is not going anywhere, but rather seems to be sticking around in the form of different variants, much like the flu has done for many centuries. Thankfully, most of those variants seem to be much weaker than the original and the Delta variant. Also, based on recent epidemiological data, most people's immune systems seem to have been at least primed to COVID, thanks largely to Omicron. But given the continued risk, I think it's worth answering this question. Let's get to it. A 2021 publication in the British Medical Journal of Nutrition, Prevention, and Health sought to answer the question of diet and COVID severity. The title of the study says it all: plant-based diets, pescatarian diets, and COVID-19 severity. A population-based case control study in 6 countries. Why look at nutrition in the context of infections? Well, nutritional factors play a key role in both innate and adaptive immunity. So since nutrition plays a key role in the function of our immune systems, and thus should in theory play a key role in how quickly our bodies can take care of an infection, it makes sense why someone would investigate infectious disease outcomes based on dietary differences. So how did they do it? This is a case control study looking at healthcare workers who had the highest risk of exposure across 6 different countries. Participants provided their demographics, dietary information, and finally their COVID-19 outcomes. Disease severity was split into 5 different options, ranging from very mild, which is essentially asymptomatic with a positive test, to critical, which is respiratory failure needing mechanical support, ICU admission, shock, or organ failure. So what did they find? Participants who followed plant-based diets had 73% lower odds of moderate to severe COVID-19. So those on a plant-based diet tended to have less severe COVID-19 infections. The diet with the worst outcomes turned out to be the low carbohydrate, high protein diets. And it turned out that following this type of diet was associated with 48% greater odds of moderate to severe COVID-19. But this actually did not achieve statistical significance. What did achieve statistical significance was when a plant-based diet was compared to a low-carb, high-protein diet. And what they found was those who followed low-carb, high-protein diets had a greater than 3-fold higher odds of moderate to severe COVID-19. When we look at the actual comparison, it was almost a 4 times higher odds of moderate to severe COVID-19 when on a low-carb, high-protein diet compared to being on a plant-based diet. While it isn't surprising that a low-carb, high-protein diet is associated with worse illness, given the fact that previous studies have found that low-carb, high-protein diets raise your all-cause mortality, or basically your death rate from all causes of disease. The real question is, why are plant-based diets associated with such amazing improvements in odds? One thing we know is that plant-based diets are rich in nutrients, especially phytochemicals. So maybe these phytochemicals give our immune system an extra advantage when fighting, but plants aren't just high in phytochemicals. They're also higher in fiber, many vitamins, and essential minerals. Why would these be important? These nutrients are hypothesized to support the immune system as they play important roles in antibody production, white blood cell proliferation, and reducing oxidative stress. Not only that, but other viruses have been found to be more virulent or basically do more damage when infecting a nutritionally deficient host. So if someone is on a plant-based diet, which is rich in nutrients, they're less likely to be nutritionally deficient. Other epidemiological studies have shown that fruit and vegetable intake is associated with lower risk of getting the cold, the flu, or even sinus infections. And naturally, a plant-based diet tends to be rich in both fruits and vegetables. So what can we conclude from this information? our results suggest that a healthy diet rich in nutrient-dense foods may be considered for protection against severe COVID-19. And what better choice than to eat a plant-based diet, which is naturally rich in essential nutrients. But don't worry, you won't hear that advertised very frequently because frankly, no new billionaires are created off of recommending food to protect against infectious disease.